few months ago, I challenged myself to beat Kirby in the Forgotten Land without any copy abilities, and the video I made about it did much better than I was expecting it to. So as a thank you for all the support on that, I figured I'd make another slightly harder challenge under the same restrictions, this time with the added challenge of not getting hit. At first, I only took on this challenge since I thought it wouldn't take me too much more practice, and I'd already beaten it pretty easily without that restriction in place. But about 3 months of practice and a little under 2,000 attempts later, I can safely tell you guys that this challenge was the hardest thing I've ever done in a video game. So with that being said, here is how I made Kirby's true arena impossible. Now before we get into the run, I just want to explain something really quick because it's pretty important. Something to keep in mind is that most bosses in this game pick their moves based on your relative position to them instead of with RNG. If a boss ever has actual RNG, I will do my best to specify that in advance. For our first fight of the run, we have Tropic Woods, and ironically, literally all of his moves are RNG. Tropic always starts his fight by dropping somewhere between 1 and 5 coconuts at random, and getting more coconuts is less likely, but also means I can deal more damage. Here I only got 2. Next he does this move where he blows air in a straight line at me, making stars at set points on the move's path as well as 1 star at the very end. Hovering above the move right here can give us 2 sets of stars to hit him with per blow. For phase 2, Tropic puts up one of 10 or so random set mazes filled with stars as well as randomly positioned Gordos that I had to try to avoid. These Gordos gave me a lot of trouble during some of the earlier runs, since they sometimes fell in very hard to dodge places. Next, Tropic uses this move where Roots home in on Kirby's position, making 2 stars each, which I can use to end the fight. This sliding jumping movement thingy I do is the fastest way to move in the game without a copy ability, so you're going to see me do it very often. Our next fight starts with Frosty, who starts by making 2 snowmen to throw at me, but if I position myself around here, I can spit out his snowballs at him before he gets a chance to. If you've seen my last video, you know I could opt to inhale Frosty's big snowball here as well, but I could do more damage with the stars that the snowball makes instead. Dodge rolling toward him during his belly slam move lets me land behind him, giving me enough time to grab both his stars and end the fight. I try to stand as close to Wild Edge as I can after he spawns in to reduce the time it takes him to walk over to me, then dodge his attack and hit him with the first star he makes. From here, Wild Edge is only 4 stars away from dying, so I save this star from his first phase and then wait for him to give me 3 more on his next attack. Something worth noting is that every mini-boss in the game starts each phase with a roar, which temporarily raises their defense, so I always wait until after their roar is done to start dealing damage to them. Now in my opinion, this next boss is really straightforward, so I'm just going to take this time to explain my basic damage optimizing for this run. Hitting a boss with 2 stars at once does slightly less than double the damage of 1 star, and grabbing 3 stars at once also happens to do slightly less than triple the damage of 1 star. For whatever reason, grabbing 4 stars at once doesn't do this and is equal in damage to hitting 4 individual stars, and grabbing more than 4 stars does the same exact amount of damage as grabbing 4 stars. So in simple terms, this basically just means it's better to hit the opponent with individual stars over small groups of stars whenever I can. I do sometimes grab multiple stars at once though, usually because I think the boss is going to hit me during the time it would take to deal more damage to him. Now because of this, pairing attacks to slow down time usually allows me to directly deal more damage as it gives me more time to optimize my damage output. It's also worth mentioning here that the first 7 bosses in the arena appear in a random order while the final 5 bosses always appear in a set order. Next we have Sillydillo. He's easily one of the most annoying fights to speedrun out of the first 7 bosses, which I'll try my best to explain later. So I hit Sillydillo with both of these handmade Kirbys individually before positioning myself in front of him at an angle to grab 2 more handmade Kirbys, except this time both at once, putting him immediately into his second phase. Running down here avoids Sillydillo jumping away, making him do his roll move a little bit faster. Sillydillo always rolls straight at you during this move, so I parry the move to slow down time and keep him going in a straight line down the middle of the arena. If you're close enough to him after his first set of rolls, he will jump away from you before his second set of rolls, letting you get more stars to hit him with before his next phase. Now's a good time to bring up that while bosses are in between phases, they take way less damage, making it best for me to just wait for their next phase to start for me to hit them. Sillydillo's spinny move here is the single reason why I hate speedrunning this boss. Sillydillo is constantly changing positions with the dance partner so fast that it's basically working as an RNG shield, only allowing me to hit Sillydillo half the time. He always follows this move up by throwing his dance partner at you, then rolling. So if you're lucky enough to hit him once or twice during this like I was, you could then parry his dance partners and kill him with the stars they give you. Now that awful fight is over, we can start this next guy, Gorimondo. Now Gorimondo always starts by using this grab move twice, which gives me 2 sets of 4 stars that I could use to hit him with relatively very easily. After that, I chase him down and stand about this far away from him to do the position-based RNG thing I was talking about earlier, to make him give me his triple slap move, which lets me do more damage to him than anything else I could control him to do. Next up is Phase 2, where Gorimondo always does the exact same thing, so all I need to do here is avoid his attacks and hit him as fast as I can to finish the fight. Now as far as the not getting hit part of this challenge goes, I actually did this fight perfectly, but as far as the speedrun of this fight would go, I would argue I did a pretty bad job. You can normally do this fight in about 33 or 34 seconds, and it took me about 50. Now this fact doesn't matter at all, I just set it as part of my advanced YouTuber technique to fill time while waiting for the fight to end. Next up we have King Dedede, who I hit with as many individual primal Awufis as possible for optimized damage, just like I explained during the Clawroline fight earlier. After that I parry his belly side moves and grab both stars at once every time, since I don't have enough time to line up individual shots here to do more damage, even with the slowdown from parry. At the start of Phase 2 here, Dedede always throws 3 Gordo bars just like this, then jumps to be straight across the arena from Kirby, so I position myself to make him jump to a place where the Gordo bars won't be in my way of hitting him. Here he swings his pillar 5 times and creates a bunch of stars per swing. By grabbing 2 or 3 stars at a time per swing, you can kill him before the move is even over. Now for the last of the first 7 fights, we have Bonkers and Fleurina, whose fights both include some of my favorite strats in the entire run. With a single 4-shot here, I can end this phase really quick. Next we have what I like to call Bonkers strategy. By turning right before Bonkers' first durian hits me, I'm able to eat his first 2 at the same time, allowing me to enter what I like to call Kirby's multi-suck mode, which lets me eat all of the durians at once, dealing more than enough damage to kill Bonkers here. For my next trick, I will try to line up Fleurina's tornadoes to hit the wall behind me all in the same spot, which will allow me to grab all the stars they make, killing Fleurina before their second phase is even able to start. Also, you might have noticed that I blocked a tornado there, but since Fleurina's small tornadoes don't do any block damage, I consider that fair game for this challenge. Now that we're done with those first relatively easy fights, we could start the challenge of this run and do the 5 harder ordered fights, starting with Phantom Meta Knight, one of only 2 bosses in the game unique to the arena. The only way to avoid grabbing that sword there was by breaking it with Kirby's slide kick move, which for anyone wondering, does 0 damage to every boss in the challenge, which is why you never see me use it as an attack. Meta Knight always opens up his fight with this move, where he either slashes once or twice, which would be followed by a projectile, or 3 times, which is not followed by a projectile. After this, he picks one from a ton of moves at complete random, and some of those moves give you way more stars than others. So as you can imagine, this was really fun to manage in the speedrun. All of Meta Knight's patterns, while triggered through RNG, are pretty consistent within themselves, meaning that with enough practice, I was able to learn all of them with pretty much no issue. After Meta Knight's first phase ends, he summons these cool rocks, which I can avoid pretty easily by going inside the small spaces between them. After that, Meta Knight always uses this triple beam move, giving me more than enough stars to kill him. It's worth mentioning that sometimes he could enter phase 2 with enough health to live this, but his next move is also set, meaning it's really easy to predict and hit him after. So it's really not a problem when that happens. Now this next guy here is garbage. I'll explain why later, since he usually starts okay, always doing this spin move, which lets me hit him with 5 whole stars if I play it correctly. Next, he always does this overhead fire hammer thing, and in a speedrun of this, I'd usually just parry all the overheads to end the phase really early. But that's pretty risky, so I opt to kill him on his next move instead. Now this second phase right here, as far as a no damage run is concerned, is extremely annoying, mostly because there are very few times where you can hit him without being in risk of getting hit yourself after. After those meteors, Dedede always jumps back to the arena and uses this charge move twice before doing a belly slam. I try my best to hit Dedede as much as I can before he's able to start this fire slap move. Normally during a speedrun I'd be able to damage boost this move and hit him with all the stars the fire would make, but since this is a damageless run, I'll let you guys figure out why I can't do that. Worst of all, the moves Dedede uses after this fire slap move are completely random, which made it much harder to learn all of his patterns. Lucky for me, Dedede opened this run's RNG phase with this multi-belly slam move, which as you can see has a very exploitable blind spot near the outer edge of the arena. I missed my shot here because I'm not good at video games, but lucky for me I was able to react to his next move in time to end the fight regardless. Now that the worst non-final boss fight is over, we can move on to Leon, who isn't really easy either. Leon always starts the fight with this pattern of low, high, and low slash thingies, which gives me 4 safe chances to hit him. After Leon's slash moves, Leon always charges at me a few times with either slow or fast charges, generally ending after 1 fast charge. I've gotten really unlucky here multiple times and had him slow charge at me 7 whole times before switching to his fast one, which obviously wastes a ton of time. After that, Leon uses his super laser move, which gives me a chance to hit him with 3 individual stars before repeating the phase and going back to the projectile slash move I mentioned before. Now is probably a good time to share in advance that Leon's final phase is one where he has tons of RNG moves he could use. But just like that last fight, I'm able to make it look pretty not insane due to my unhealthy amounts of practicing. Phase 2 always starts with Leon using this overhead shockwave electric thingy move, where we parry to get a bunch of hits in. Normally I'd get at least twice as many hits in by the time this move is over, but I messed up a little bit. After this move, I run away to force him to use the laser move and give me way more stars, as staying near him makes him use a completely different, much harder to avoid move for some reason. After this, just because it's comfortable for me since I speedrun this, I position myself here on his claw move to grab 3 stars before jumping over his other claw move to hit him with more stars from his fire slashes, hoping that'll give me 3 swings per attack since it gives me more stars for more damage. This phase is basically Leon's other 2 phases combined, except harder, and on top of that, this weird baby guy keeps shooting electric laser shockwave beams at me that I have to avoid. On top of this, as far as I can tell, all of Leon's moves are random, leading me to have to put a stupid amount of practice into this fight just to beat it consistently. now that Leon's super hard phase is over, we can start the second to last fight of the run, Morpho Knight. Morpho's really cool. He always starts by walking up to Kirby and doing this quadruple slash move before teleporting away and shooting out a wall of fire that I have to react to avoid, as the gap I use to jump over it is always in a random spot, and the move is undodgeable. He always summons this really scary Forgo head thing at this point in the run that just slowly floats back and forth while also homing in on Kirby. Now I've had so many runs die to this thing while trying to hit Morpho that I just gave up on hitting him until the thing despawns. During a speedrun of this I'd normally just eat the hits, but since this is damageless I obviously can't do that. Something worth mentioning about Morpho in specific is that unless he's clearly in the middle of an attack, he could just teleport away to avoid any projectile, meaning shots like this one can just miss half the time. You know, I've brought up my speedrun of this so many times during this video, so feel free to let me know if you want a commentated version of that on my channel at some point, kinda like this video. Just tell me in the comments if it's a good idea. Something that's probably worth noting here is that Morpho's firewalls and fire tornadoes are both unparryable and undodgeable, meaning if I try to dodge roll through one of them, I will just get hit every time. Morpho's second phase always starts with these two giant fire swords, and if you could grab enough stars during the first two hits, you can bring him down to really low health. This big sword move is also great because if I stand far away enough from Morpho as it's ending, Morpho will always glide at me, locking him into an unteleportable state, meaning I can consistently hit him to end the phase before he gets the chance to use any of his other very annoying phase 2 moves. With all that out of the way, it's now time for, by far, the hardest part of this challenge, Chaos Elfilis. Now Chaos Elfilis is really annoying since they have a crap ton of health as well as a huge pool of moves they could use. And you guessed it, he uses them at complete random. He always starts with this double slash move, but after that he could do pretty much anything he wants. Now this blue move here is really nice since it's very consistent to parry and always lets me get off a quad shot's worth of damage. Something else that's really annoying about him is that his cooldown on every move also varies at random, meaning that sometimes I can play otherwise perfect and just have him hit me with something completely unreactable, which is why you'll see me opt not to hit him a lot of the time when it looks like I would have otherwise been very safe to. While I probably could explain every single one of Elfilis' moves, I think I'm just going to explain the important ones, since there's simply too many things that have to be explaining. For whatever reason, this laser move here quite literally only appeared during actual runs of the challenge and never in practice. There is no hard-coded or in-game reason why that should be the case. I just got extremely unlucky, and because of that, I've had an embarrassing number of runs die with this attack while trying to figure out how to avoid it. Someone in my Twitch chat actually recommended trying to jump in the corner here, so thank you to that guy. Now if I could remove any attack from the entire game, it would definitely be this meteor move right here. This move has the worst camera by far in the entire game. It's either really hard to see the floor and the shockwaves on it since it's pointing at the sky, or very hard to see the meteor falling on you since it's pointing on the ground. In fact, that final meteor always falls completely off camera, which as you could probably guess, ended tons of runs. So you're probably starting to see now why this challenge took me over 1,000 attempts. I was actually counting the amount of attempts this challenge took, and somewhere around 500 I just gave up and then put in like 3 times that amount of time. So I'm just gonna round and say it took me 2,000 attempts, but for the sake of not lying or exaggerating, I'm just gonna safely say over 1,500. Now for the final boss, we have Chaos. Chaos always starts with this black hole move, which I can always hit him at the very start and very end of. For whatever reason, this laser move has an adjusted smaller parry window on it. But aside from that, this boss is arguably actually easier copyless than it would be with most copy abilities in the game, since he gives you so many quad shots to hit him with. In my opinion, this is actually the perfect way to end this run, since getting hit by Chaos most of the time just means that I choked from nerves. After phase 1, Chaos turns into the sun, and he drops a ton of stars that I can hit him with. As you'll see in a little while, I can grab a ton of stars to hit him with while he's going back and forth below me. I've actually had a run die on this laser move once, which was one of the saddest moments of my entire streaming career. Anyway, right after that laser move, Chaos tries one last time to damage us with his boomerang move, which I avoid somewhat easily with a well-timed hover, allowing me to do this. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're listening to this now, chances are that you watched the whole video up until this point, meaning you liked it at least a little bit. So if you liked it, please like it. And if you really liked it, then subscribe or comment or something. And if you didn't like it, then I'm sorry. But yeah, jokes aside, I genuinely do mean it when I say thank you so much for watching this video. I spent about 2 to 3 months practicing this challenge. I put somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 attempts into this. So the fact that you were willing to watch me complete it really means a lot to me. If you guys have any ideas for challenges that you want to see in the future, please leave a comment telling me what you want to see, and I will try my best to do the best challenges I see, because I really did enjoy making this video and would love to make more like it in the future. So yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh my god. Alright, next I'm gonna do it blindfolded.